My sister said she had 6 months left. I gave her everything. My money. My time. Even my future. Then I found the second phone. I didn't confront her. I just made a call. The next day my mom asked why the news van was outside our house. The cake said, "Our warrior queen" in gold lettering. It was 3 tiers. With glitter. And a fondant version of Ashley on top, sitting in a hospital bed with a tiara. So, subtle. My cousin snapped a picture of it like it was a wedding cake. People were whispering things like, "She's such an inspiration," and "I don't know how she stays so strong." And Ashley? She was glowing. Absolutely radiant in pale pink and soft curls, blinking back tears like someone had just told her she only had hours left instead of months. Meanwhile, I was standing by the fridge wondering if anyone else remembered she told us 6 months ago that she only had 6 months. But no. Everyone was too busy being inspired. Aunt Julia clutched Ashley's hand and said something about angels. My mom brought out a tray of sugar-free brownies because Ash can't handle sugar anymore. Which is weird because last night I caught her eating a Kit Kat in bed. Ashley saw me watching and winked. I smiled back. Tight. She walked over not long after, holding a mug like it weighed 50 pounds. "I'm so glad you came," she said gently, like I was some old friend she didn't expect to show up. "I live here," I reminded her. "Still," she said, touching my arm. "It means a lot." Thought she was good. She'd always been good. Back in middle school, she won an acting award for a 10-minute monologue about a dying kitten. Everyone sobbed. Including the judge. The kitten wasn't real, obviously, but neither was her limp that day. She liked to commit to the role. I remember thinking it was kind of impressive back then. Well, not so much. Ashley drifted back to the center of the room where everyone was waiting for her speech. Of course there was a speech. You don't throw a farewell party for your final year without a few words. And Ashley wasn't going to pass up a mic. She took her place near the fireplace where the lighting was soft and perfect, cleared her throat, and launched into a heartfelt thank you about family and strength and learning to find joy even in pain. A few people teared up. I looked at my mom. She was nodding along like a proud stage manager. Then Ashley looked at me. "And to my sister," she said, voice trembling just the right amount. "Thank you for giving up so much for me. I know you don't like attention, but I couldn't have gotten through this without you." Everyone turned to look at me. I smiled. Nodded. Felt like I was going to throw up. Because they didn't know. Not yet. But they would. The moment she finished, the room filled with applause. Someone shouted, "We love you, Ashley." And the whole thing felt like a scene from a made-for-TV movie. I walked into the hallway. Reached into my pocket. Pulled out my phone. I'd already queued it up. I'd rehearsed this moment in my head more times than I'd care to admit. I found my cousin Ryan, one of the few people in the family who actually knows how Bluetooth works, and handed it to him. "Can you play this for everyone?" I said quietly. He blinked. "What is it?" "Just hit play." A second later, the music stopped. The crowd looked around, confused. Ashley turned toward the speaker. "Wait, what's?" And then the video started. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just enough to hush the room. Everyone went still. Ashley's posture shifted slightly. Her smile froze. From where I stood in the hallway, I couldn't see the screen. But I didn't need to. I was watching Ashley. Her lips parted. Then closed. Her eyes darted around the room. Like she was looking for the remote. Or the exit. Someone dropped a fork. There was a weird silence, thicker than anything I've ever felt. People weren't reacting yet, but they weren't breathing either. Ashley took one step back. Then another. My mom looked over at her, confused. "Sweetheart." Ashley turned to me. Her whole face had changed. Color gone. Smile vanished. Like a mask had slipped. "What did you do?" she whispered. I didn't answer. She walked toward me. "What did you just play?" So I said nothing. Her voice got louder. "That's fake. You know that, right? It's fake. You're obsessed." A few people turned to look at her. My dad frowned. My aunt muttered something under her breath. Ashley's hands were shaking now. "You edited it," she said. "That's illegal. That's defamation." "I didn't touch it," I said calmly. "Don't lie to me," she snapped. "You've always hated me. You're jealous. You've always been jealous." "You might want to stop talking," I said. That's when she lunged. right for the phone in Ryan's hand. He stepped back instinctively. Whoa, Ash, what? Turn it off, she shouted. Turn it off. But it was too late. Because people were already staring. Whispering. One woman gasped. My uncle looked like he'd swallowed a wasp. And the best part? The video was only halfway done. I watched her freeze. Watched the panic spread from her face to her fingers. Her whole body stiff like she could already feel it slipping away. The sympathy, the adoration, the lie. She didn't know where to look. Everyone was watching now. Except me. I was already headed for the door. And as I reached for the handle, I heard her voice again, soft, desperate. Please, she whispered. Don't do this. But I didn't answer. As I already had. I used to think the worst part was watching her suffer. Now I know it was watching myself disappear while she got standing ovations. Ashley didn't get sick all at once. It started slow, almost elegant. A weird stomach bug that wouldn't go away. Then joint pain. Then fainting spells. All vague enough to seem real but not specific enough to test for. At first I didn't question any of it. Why would I? She was my sister. I loved her. She started missing school then work. She texted me things like, just collapsed at the pharmacy. Don't worry, some angel helped me into an Uber. There was always drama, always a dash of flair. But again, she was always like that. Theatrics were kind of her thing. By the time she said the words terminal diagnosis, my parents were already in full panic mode. They sat me down like they were announcing a death. Ashley cried. My mom cried. My dad kept repeating, not fair, not her. I didn't cry. Not because I didn't feel anything but because it didn't feel real. Like I was watching it happen to someone else. So I dropped everything. Because what kind of person doesn't? I deferred my scholarship. One I'd worked years for. Writing. A program that accepted 8 people worldwide. 8. I was one of them. I'd already imagined everything. The new city, the weird professors, the crappy studio apartment with a leaking sink. It was going to be mine. But Ashley needed me. Or so I thought. So I packed up my things and moved back into the house. I told myself it was temporary. Just a few months. One last season with my sister before it was too late. The first few weeks were normal. If normal means cooking, cleaning, and setting alarms to remind someone to take pills you've never heard of. But there were cracks. Like how she always seemed fine when the camera was off. How she'd limp for visitors but walk normally when she thought no one was looking. How she always had a story for why she forgot to bring back paperwork from the doctor's office. At first I ignored it. Then I started writing it down. Not as some grand conspiracy board, just small things. I had a notes app titled, Odd. Didn't take meds today. Said she felt better without them. Ate fast food in car, then told mom she couldn't digest solids. Told GoFundMe donors she's in stage 3. Told dad she's in stage 2. Tiny things. Maybe explainable. Maybe not. But they piled up. And the more they did, the more invisible I became. Ashley started doing interviews. First a podcast, then a local morning show. She wore headscarves and smiled bravely. My sister gave up everything to be here, she said once, eyes glistening. Everyone thought I was a saint. No one asked how I was sleeping. Or if I'd eaten. Or how it felt to watch someone pretend to die while you were losing pieces of your life, one small choice at a time. My parents were too busy coordinating care packages and hanging ribbons on the mailbox. I remember once asking mom if I could take a weekend off to see a friend. She looked at me like I'd said I wanted to abandon Ashley in the woods. Can't you see she's dying? She whispered. Right. Of course. How selfish of me. And maybe I would have kept going. Maybe I would have believed it all the way to the end. If not for the phone. It was just sitting there. On the counter. A second phone. White. Newer model. Not hers. Or so I thought. I picked it up by reflex. Thought maybe someone left it behind. But the lock screen was familiar. Same background. Same name. Ashley. That's when I felt it. That knot in your stomach when something clicks into place, and you really, really wish it hadn't. I opened the mail app. And just stared. It was logged in to Dr. Collins's account. The doctor she quoted in every update. The one who sent medical instructions. The one who'd supposedly said, we're doing everything we can. The sender? Dr. Collins. The recovery email? Ashley's. No aliases. No attempt to hide it. She'd been emailing herself medical updates from a fake account. and then showing them to us like they came from a real doctor. My hands were shaking. I opened the drafts folder. There were rehearsals, notes, phrases she wanted to use in future updates. One draft just said, "Try stage 4 next. People respond more when it sounds urgent." And still I didn't do anything. Not right away, because I couldn't believe it. Or maybe I just didn't want to. Instead I started paying attention. I checked her phone logs. All the doctor calls came from one number, prepaid. I recognized the voice. It was hers. A different cadence, slightly nasal, but hers. She used to do voices all the time when we were younger. Theater kid. Party trick. At 12, she pretended to be our cousin's mom and got him out of school for a week. At 17, she convinced an entire camp she was British for 3 days. Apparently that talent found a new use. I dug deeper. She'd set up donation pages. Posted TikToks with hashtags like #TerminalWarrior and #HopeInTheDarkness. She raised money from strangers. Thousands. And not just for treatment. There were receipts for skincare. A tablet. Designer loungewear. She was living off her lie. And I was the unpaid nurse. But here's the thing. Even with all that evidence, seeing it, knowing it, I still didn't expose her. Not yet. I'd sit across from her while she fake coughed into her sleeve and asked me to fetch more chamomile tea. I'd smile when she said she didn't want to die in pain. I'd watch her close her eyes dramatically for photos and say things like, just trying to savor every moment. And I'd wonder, was I the only one seeing this? I was tired. So tired. And I kept thinking, maybe this wasn't cruelty. Maybe it was something else. Something broken. A cry for help. A sickness of a different kind. Then I found the folder on her laptop. Labeled simply, scripts. Not PDFs. Voice recordings. Audio files of her practicing her sick voice. Lines like, "Doctor says this might be my last Thanksgiving. I'm just scared I'll forget what it feels like to be normal. I don't want to die, but I think I'm ready." She even cried on cue. It was flawless. And suddenly I understood. This wasn't something I could reason with. This wasn't stress. Or trauma. Or one lie that got out of hand. This was a full-time performance. And I was done being an extra. So I made a copy. Everything. Emails. Audio. Screenshots. And then I made a call. Not to her. Not to my parents. To someone else entirely. And just like that, the final act began. The room was silent. Not just quiet, silent. The kind of silence that only happens when a crowd goes from celebration to confusion to suspicion in under a minute.